Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my stream. We're going to look at installing Python on Mac. This is going to be Mac OS X, in particular. On a lot ported to. A lot of people seem to have trouble installing Python. There is a lot of complexities to it. So I figured I'd just go over kind of the basics of getting it started on Mac OS X, and hopefully from there you'll have a good basis to. Sure. So I've completely deleted Python environment. I'm going to install it from scratch. If you haven't installed the Xcode tools, Apple's Xcode tools, you need to do that before continuing with this. So stop the. If you're watching this later, stop the video and go down here. Well, follow along. So the first thing we're going to do is install Homebrew. Homebrew is a package manager for Mac OS X. It allows you to install a lot of different things. Like in this case, it'll be Python. But if you want to, you could install R, you can install Postgres, C++ compilers, just a variety of different things that your computer might need. Toolkit. So it's just kind of a start. It's kind of what you need. If you're on Linux, you already have. If you're on Ubuntu, you have apt-get, and other Linux distros have their own package manager, usually already installed, Pacman. Um, so you don't need to worry about that. This is just more sex setup because it isn't package manager. So what you'll do is you'll go to this link I posted in the chat, and then it'll be at the very top will be a terminal command that you'll need to copy and then paste into your terminal. So, if you don't know where terminal is, you'll need to go to your applications folder, then utilities, and then inside there will be terminal. You'll need to open that up. I use iTerm 2 for mine. It allows customization than like the standard Apple terminal. But for this, it doesn't really. So if yours looks different than mine, that's why I just add a little bit more customization to inside the scope of this demonstration. So got that, we copied it. Now we're going to, for sudo, so enter my password. Yep, all that's good, as you can see. Let's install all this Binbrew, all the stuff you need for Homebrew. So hit enter. So now we wait. Than normal, probably because I'm streaming. Yes. Also, probably all this is just looks like script running, like some Git stuff. You really don't need to worry about it. Just as long as we don't see any error messages, we should be good to go. because I'll probably need to edit this part out in the video. Expecting it to, so usually it does. Also, my kid may run out at any moment during this. She does not go to bed. So don't be surprised if you see a 5-year-old running. I have to stop to corral her. Oh, homebrew, you are taking a lot longer than I thought you would. Or I would have already installed Stream. But sometimes that's part of programming is waiting on code to technically working, but you're just waiting on code to run. It's a nice perk. Okay, 87% should be done here shortly. I would hope. There we go. Done. Okay. Hopefully the rest of this does. Don't know if anyone's watching, but if you are, let me know if you can't hear me. My first time doing this, so probably not going to. Oh my God, Homebrew. I guess is that streaming this and running Homebrew is slowing things down considerably. Okay, it looks like we're done. So good. Installation successful. It's always nice to see. So that means Homebrew's installed. Like I said, you can see here, run brew help to get started. So we'll run brew help. This gives you kind of a list of commands. What we do. Type brew list. Well, let's see what it says. Okay, apparently that one's not there, but oh yeah, there it is, brew list. So if we just type that, hit enter, it's going to list. Let's see if I can just Python. 3. I guess it's going to do Python 3.9. Brew list Python 3. Okay, so I guess that has changed since the last time. Command brew list. List all. Okay, list all installed from. So brew search is probably what we want. Okay, get that. Brew search Python. There we go. Okay, so we get a bunch of Python. We're just going to install the probably the Python. It probably points to 3.9. Um, so we'll just do that. First, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about uh, your path variable. So a lot of confusion from Python comes from your operating system's path variable. And because people install multiple versions of Python, your path, like, they can be in different places on your path variable. Think you're running one Python, but the operating system is actually running another. So path variable tells the computer where to look whenever you type a command. So let's see. I'll show. There's my path variable. I have a command to do a print. So right there, you see first it's going to look in users Matthew Barlow.nvm versions node. It's going to look user local sbin, user local bin, and so on and so on and so on. So if the Python you want is not in the appropriate place on your path, like you're not going to run the proper Python. So, like if we did which Python 3, I'm going to say user bin Python 3. That is the Mac OS X installed Python 3. Really shouldn't touch that. I don't know if it's part of the critical systems anymore. It used to be they had Python 2 that was part of OS X critical systems, and you just don't touch it at all. I'm not sure how the Python 3 works with the Big Sur 10.15. I just generally don't touch it at all and install my own version, and that's what we're doing with Homebrew. You see above, you'll see user local bin, which is in front of user bin, or will come in first on your path. So what Homebrew does is it creates the user local bit USR local bin. Let's see here, and it puts it in your path in front of user USR bin. And so whenever you type a command that, and if you've installed it with Homebrew, the OS X is going to stop looking in user local bin and not look in user bin. So if we install Python with, there's my dog. Hey Bianca. So if we install Python with Homebrew, the OS X is going to stop at user local bin because it's going to find the Python kernel there, and not run the one in user. That's what we want. So if you type which Python, which Python 3, and you get anything other than user bin Python 3, that means you've already installed a version of Python somewhere. You've either installed it through the Python libraries themselves, or maybe you've done Homebrew and forgot about it, or you've done another version of Python. But if that's the case, what you need to do is, after you install Homebrew, you need to make sure when you look at that path, again, that's echo path, that user local bin is in front of uh, whatever Python path shows up that's not user bin Python. Um, that's a little outside of how to change that of this um, talk, but if you just do some googling, you'll just Google edit path variable, and it'll show you how to put paths like in the front where they need to be. Usually Homebrew will just start and put user local bin in front of the path anyway, and then user local S bin as well. Um, so okay, now that we've discussed path, we've got it where we want it. So now we're going to install Python. That's just basically brew install, and that could be any package. So like whatever package we find. Like if you want to install Go, the programming language Go, research Go. Let's see, Golang. Yeah, probably one of these Golangs, whatever. And you just do brew install Go as well. But we want to install Python. So brew install Python. Okay, our Python is installed, and as you see, it's been installed. User local bin Python 3. And then we can install packages with pip3. We'll get into that in a minute. And it'll install into this site packages directory. You don't really need to know about that right now because you're just starting out, but it's kind of good to like just kind of keep in the back of your mind that your pip packages will install in this folder, this Python site. So now when we type which Python 3, we get our newly installed user local bin Python 3. So that's the one we want. So we just run it. There we go. Print. Now you have Python installed. And we can do a all Python files in Y. Oh, I already have code there. Print hello world. And then we can just do Python 3, Py, hello world. So yep, now we can run a file, we can run it as console. So there is one drawback to installing Python this way with that Homebrew will automatic, unless you pin a formula, I think you do the 3 point, but it'll automatically update Python as it needs to run its own scripts. So like if you have something working in 3.7, and you need to update something else in Homebrew, that may not even be a Python dependency. It could update Python itself and update your version of 3.9. So a way to get around this is I install what's called PyEnv, which allows you to install next to itself in Mac OS X. So brew install PyEnv. Hello, Bianca. You're on camera. Hey, look. Hey. Okay, so we have PyEnv installed. So let's I can never remember the commands off the top of my head. So we'll do help. Usually if you're worried about any command, usually the -- help for anything will bring up a help screen of some sort, whatever the command. So okay, that's a lot. So see, let's try PyEnv version. PyEnv version. That tells us it's a system Python. That's right. So which Python 3, and that's the user local bin Python that we installed with Home. So let's install 3.7, and we want to, so that way we can have that, and Homebrew won't update it. We can just have that 3.7 stable. So get our all local. Help. It's got to be like wait, run, execute. we'll just do pyenv install Python 3.7. So okay, there we go. So there, pyenv install list. A lot of versions. We want just right there, 3.8, 3.7, right there. That's what we want. 7. So pyenv install 3.7. Come on, go to bed. Come on. Stay in bed. This is taking longer than normal. It's probably because I'm streaming and using um, resources that would normally be used to build. So I guess we wait some more. There we go. So now we can do pyenv list. Oh. So was it versions? Yeah, there we go. So we have the system, which is set by this folder right here. Let's see what that is. So that's probably not set. Probably just set the global when it initially started. So we have two versions. So let's set our system version to Python 3.7. So just before we do that, Python version 3.96. So let's set the global. Let's check commands again. Global, so we set. So we'll do like pyenv global 3.7.11. So now when we do which Python 3, user local bin still, but it's this Python 3. Nope, still pointing to now we have our first issue. So echo path. So yeah, so that's our issue, is where this is set, it's not on our path like I explained before. So user local bin here is first on our path, and this isn't on our path at all. So what we need to do is put that. Let's see. I'm looking it up right now. So there we go. Now let's put it in front of the path. So echo path. Hmm. Okay. Here we go. Sorry, I'm looking through. Here's the install. You're interested. I'm working in ZSH or Z shell. I think HRC profile. Echo path. And there we see now that our shims pi and env shims is in our path. This ZSHRC is a configuration for your shell. The Z shell is the default for Mac OS X now. If you're using Bash, you can put it in -rc or .profile or .bash profile. Those files exist for different reasons outside the scope of this, but almost one of them it should work. Well, it'd be a different command for bash profile. Would do something like this in the bash profile. So we definitely sticking with the ZSHRC because that's what we're using. So now that we have it working, so it should be Python 3 version and 3.7.11. That's what we want. Python 3. Then we go 3.7.11. Exit, and if we want to switch back, pyenv list, pyenv versions, pyenv global system, and then Python 3 version, and then we're back to 3.96. So you can switch between them that easily. Packages installed 3.96 won't be available to 3.7.11. You need to install them to both versions of your Python. But really, you don't want to install anything to the main Python anyway, which comes to our next part of installing Python is using virtual environment. So let's switch to our 7.11 3 version, make sure we're up. Then we want to do pip3 version, make sure that Yeah, so that's pointing to the right. Python as well. So pip3 is going to, it's like the homebrew for Python. It's a package manager. It's installing packages. Um, can't read. It's like something. What does it stand for? Let me look it up. Like Python integrated packaging or pip installs packages. Oh, it's a recursive acronym, which people like to get cute in computer science sometimes. So Python installs or pip installs Python is what it's called, or pip installs packages. So this is what we're going to use to install our packages for our Python. But first, we're going to create what's called a virtual environment. A virtual environment kind of like walls off, creates like its own little walled garden Python that you can install packages in, and that won't affect any other packages you've installed in your main Python or in your other virtual environments. So first thing we're going to do is create a virtual environment. So let's do python-m v is the command. And then you're just going to put a path to where you want the virtual environment to be installed. We'll just say test env in this directory and run it. So as we can see now, there, you can, and you'll see all the stuff needed for the virtual environment. The main thing we're concerned with will be in the bin folder, which is activate. So we're going to source bin activate. And as you can see here, the test env is activated. That's I've added that to there. You won't see that unless you've added some other stuff to your terminal profile. Bash, there's a different way to do it. This is, I use omizsh for my Z shell, and then I load the power level 10K theme on top of that. I'll put links to that. So here's omizsh and power level 10K. Here's the link to that as well. So yeah, that's what I have on top of my terminal. You don't have to use that. That's just what I use. As we see, the test env is activated. So now if I did which Python, I always forget that. So which Python 3, now we see it points to the Python inside that test virtual environment, um, which is going to be different than the Python 3.7.11, and also different from the Python 3.9 that we've installed from Homebrew. All these are separate Pythons, and will have different packages installed to them. So it'd be kind of confusing to keep them all separate because there are so many different ones. But as you get into the habit of like every time I do a project or every time I start to work on something, I create a new virtual environment always create a new virtual environment no matter what you're doing, whether it's just like a test to like the code you may throw away. It keeps your main Python from being polluted with and having package dependency hell, which is never good. And if it worse comes to worse, if stuff starts working, you can just delete it. So like if I say I installed something completely screwed up, my test env, nothing works. So I would just back out of that um, directory, the test env, and then just remove it. That's all you need to do. That's how you uninstall it. That's it. It's gone now. And so we activate. That gets rid of, as you see, the things there no longer. And so, and then again to create it again. It's just as easy as that. And then source test bin activate. And that's it. So then Python, as you can see, which Python 3 pointed back to our virtual environment. So now we can install packages. So, and then again, which pip again points to the pip in our virtual environment, which is what we want, because that's where we want to install our packages. So normally with every virtual environment, I install a suite of packages. Oh man. And so I install a suite of packages. I'm probably going to have to wrap it up here soon. So we'll go over this real quick. So installed NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. So as you can see, they're installing now. Hopefully you heard that. Hopefully it wasn't on, I didn't mute calls. My kids were crying. That happens. My wife's being gracious and helping out while I do this. So hopefully it's useful. But yeah, as you can see, they're installing, and then once they're installed, we can do data science. So that's kind of like an overview, how to get Python installed, how to get different versions running with PyEnv, um, then how to create a virtual environment, and then how to install packages to that virtual environment. So you kind of have a good feel for Python now, how to install it, how to work with it. Because once you create the virtual environment, you just install the packages, then you start writing code. That's the next step, and that's probably what we'll start looking at, among other things, in the next stream. Yeah, normally it doesn't take this long. I'm assuming the streaming is putting some burden on my CPU that it doesn't see. So normally it's not this slow. Once we get the packages installed, we will call it a night. Here, Ivy. Here. Come here. Come here. Oh, Dad, that's right. Let's say hello. Wait till mom. Hello. Dave. At the camera. Hi, everybody. My name's Ivy. I'm here to help too. Everyone's here to help Daddy code. So I guess one lesson learned is that I'm going to install all these packages before the stream starts. Because they take way too long with the stream. Normally this takes like 2 minutes. This is taking a long time to do. So next time, unfortunately, we'll install all the packages before. Damn. So, yeah. I'll do that. We're almost done. The joys of parenting. And also, like, wondering, coding generally allows you to live in bigger houses. I do, unless you work in sport. God, ever. Yeah, if you follow along, you'll definitely. So now we got an error. What's the error? This command. Install this map web. I'm sure the error is with sklearn. So I hope it is. Otherwise, I wonder if it's because I'm using 3. See if this works out. Oh my god. Oh, that's a map plot. It's gonna fail. Gonna need to upgrade Pip. There's no telling what's wrong with this. Oh, I'm just going to end the stream on this. The commands should work. All this the matplotlib solver. Just ignore it now. This is taking so long to do. It shouldn't take this. Okay. This errors out. There we go. Yep. So let's try install upgrade. Let's upgrade that. Let's see. Python 2.7. Normally, when I see something like this, I scroll up. It said fail building will for copy. Valid command be dist will. It's probably the main error. Copy that. Let's see what it says. Google. Yeah, so maybe he just needs a pip upgrade, so let's try it again. Hopefully that's the issue. Yeah, that looks like that was the issue. Just need to upgrade pip. Sometimes that's all you need to do is just listen to what the computer tells you. Sometimes that's all you need to do. That's it. So now we got everything installed. Now we can do Python 3, do import pandas as PD. We'll have pandas installed. There we go. That's it. So now you should have, if you followed along, you should have Python installed, you have PyE and V installed with 2 different versions of Python, your system from Homebrew, and 3.711, which we installed. And then you should know how to create a virtual environment and then install packages to that virtual. That's really like 80% of getting your Python environment. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Twitter. There's my Twitter handle. Or feel free to email me at matt at barlowanalytics.com. That's also in the chat. So thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully the start of your lucrative Python career.